Alright, so this Asta video has been fully edited and complete for about 2 weeks now, and I was supposed to upload the shit immediately after the Ichigo video, and I've actually tried to do that like 5 fucking times now, but because TV Tokyo decided to act fucking stupid for the last fortnight, my video has been trapped in the fucking 8 trigrams of copyright claim. So I was thinking about just scrapping the whole fucking thing, but thanks to the power of Google, I found out that cropping the size of the fucking background clip I'm using in the video down is hopefully enough to avoid copyright detection from these dumbass bots that keep blocking my shit worldwide. Anyway, none of you niggas came to hear this rant I'm going on about TV Tokyo, so just cue the intro and let's get right into my shit. So Asta's AP is probably far more impressive than most people would originally think, as even while in base, he should be comparable to the Fire Spirit, an entity who was casually capable of nuking the Witch's Forest, a feat which has been calculated requiring anywhere from 13 through 183 megatons of force, which is cited through large mountain level. He should also be superior to the likes of I, the Midnight Sun Patri, who is stated weaker than every member of the Third Eye. This would of course include Fauna and Veto, two people Asta has been shown to be relative to, being able to combat and injure them. And this variant of Patri should be relative to pre-underwater sea temple Yami, who supposedly shaved away an entire mountain in what was referred to as a little dust up with Jack, which obviously implies it was done very casually. This argument, as well as the calc shown previously, is further supported by the Black Clover databook, in which Jack was once again stated capable of destroying mountains. And even this mountain level meta is a massive lowball and should never really be used to scale base Asta, as tier 6B or country level scaling for base Asta is actually way more consistent than this. For instance, the Fire Spirit is stated capable of vaporizing the sea with its talons within the databook, a feat which has been calculated requiring anywhere from 2 through 21 teratons of force, which is small through regular country level. And this country level meta would be consistent as there is a multitude of other arguments and feats which support it, such as Demon God Lick's ability to completely destroy the entire country of Clover, the Clover Kingdom being area of space which is stated to span several hundred kilometers. And this feat has actually been calculated requiring anywhere from 1.38 teratons of force all the way up to 488 teratons of force, which is small through large country level. Both Patri and Julius are capable of casting spells which span the entire country of Clover, and Patri was possibly going to destroy the entire country of Clover. This feat should obviously yield values similar to the previously shown lit calc, and has actually been calculated requiring upwards of 678 teratons of force, which is also large country level. And Veto was going to completely destroy the underwater sea temple, which is depicted as having its own vast and diverse geography, containing its own caverns, lakes, cities, and even what seems to be a small mountain range. And although I have yet to find a calc for the size of the underwater sea temple, its current depiction is enough to add credence to the argument that it is of a country or at least an island level size. Not to mention Patri's self-destruction as a result of Asta unsealing him has been calculated island level, and this should be comparable to Veto's intentional self-destruction. And I believe Veto's self-destruction was actually stated more powerful than Patri's, not to mention the most power scaling wikis, despite their tendency to lowball characters, also seem to think tier 6 Asta is his most consistent level of power. So this would mean base Asta pre-time skip is capable of exerting anywhere from 183 megatons of force all the way up to 21 teratons of force, making him large mountain level all the way to country level. And since tier 6 scaling for Asta seems to be his more consistent level of scaling, I'll be using that for base Asta. And, let's just move on from here to Asta's other variants. Alright, So now that we've established that pre-time skip base Asta is anywhere from large mountain level all the way up to country level, we can now try and find an accurate gauge for some of his more powerful forms, such as Black Asta, Berserker Asta, and even Asta's true anti-magic form, which we've seen in some of the latest chapters of the manga. And although there are no exact statements about how big of an amp these different forms should provide Asta, we can come up with a very accurate estimate for how big of an amp he should receive based on data book statements and the outcome of his fights immediately after receiving some of these amps. So, with that being said, Asta's black form should provide him with a 16 through 56 times amp, as while in this form he is extremely relative in strength to Yuno while he's using both Spirit Dive and Monozone, which are both stated to be many times multipliers in the data book. Many, although not having an exact quantification, by definition means more than several. Several by definition meaning at least 3. This means that both Spirit Dive and Monozone individually are at least 4 times amps, and together would amp Yuno's power by 16 times, as he would receive a 4 times amp from Spirit Dive, then another 4 times amp on top of that from Monozone. And since Asta's anti-magic form provides a power similar to these amps, it should be at least a 16 times amp as well. And even this can be seen as a low ball, as Yuno also receives an elf reincarnation amp on top of these two. And despite this, Asta is still able to keep up with him in his black form, but because the elf reincarnation amp is unquantifiable, we can't incorporate it into our argument. Although it is possible that this elf reincarnation amp increases the power of the afflicted by thousands or even millions of times, allowing non-combatant characters like Marks and Owen to combat fucking Yami, someone who's no doubt stronger than Base and Black Asta, making him bare minimum a country level threat as well, whereas Marks and Owen are probably weaker than the likes of Seke, who is only like wall level. And this is something that most power scaling wikis also agree on, despite their tendency to lowball characters. I personally won't be using this argument in this video, as I think it's possible the elf reincarnation amp provides a different amount of power to different people, as it's literally the power of a dead elf amping the host, more than likely boosting the afflicted's power up to that of the elf's original power. And since we know elves all have different levels of power, the amount it increases one's AP could vary based on the power of the original, person without the amp elf. So for me, there's just too many unknowns here, but it's worth mentioning despite this. Feel free to form your own opinions about it. But this brings us to the 56 amp argument, which is just as straightforward as the last, as prior to receiving his black form, Asta is one-shotted by Fire Spirit Amp Ladros. One-shot factor dictates that in order to one-shot your opponent, you must possess an AP 7.5 times greater than your opponent's durability. And since AP has been shown to be equal to durability in Black Clover, this would mean that Fire Spirit Amp Ladros was 7.5 times stronger than base Asta at the time of his feat. And since as soon as Asta entered his black form, he one-shotted Ladros, this would obviously mean that Asta would be 7.5 times stronger than the Ladros who previously one-shotted him. 7.5 times 7.5 is obviously 56, which leaves us with our multiplier. This second method is obviously a bit of a stretch, as the one-shot factor multiplier is usually only used for the purpose of cross-verse battles, but because I'm scaling Asta for the purpose of future cross-verse matchups, I feel as if this multiplier can be used. If Asta is 16 through 56 times superior to the previous calcs we got for his base, then that would mean as a lowball, Black Asta should be capable of exerting anywhere from 2.9 through 10.2 gigatons of force, which is small through regular island level, and as a highball anywhere from 316 teratons of force to 1.7 petatons of force, which is large country level through low-end continental. I personally think the 316 teratons value is the most accurate, considering it's the closest to our previous established value of 488 teratons of force for Licht, someone who Asta is at the very least relative to, if not superior to, post Black Divider and post time skip. Also, as stated before, the 56 times base argument seems to be a bit of a stretch, and that's the multiplier I used to get the 1.7 petatons value. So I'll probably be using the 316 or the 488 as my base value for Black Asta. And the other amps he receives should be just as straightforward, as the amp he receives from Black Divider is arguably a 9 through 11 times multiplier, being comparable if not superior to Lick's Elven Conquering Eon, which combines the power of 9 or 11 elves, which are all relative in strength to him, and his Berserker form is possibly a 12 times amp, considering while in this form he's capable of combating and even injuring 50% Dante, who tanked a combined attack from Asta and his 12 mirror clones, who are most likely equal in strength to him. This would mean as a low ball, Asta would be capable of exerting 1.3 teratons of force, and as a high ball, 64 through 224 petatons of force, which is small country level through multi-continental. And even this multi-continental value can be seen as a low ball, as it doesn't account for Asta's true anti-magic form, which is unquantifiable. And my argument also doesn't account for the amp base Asta receives during the time skip. So just keep all this shit in mind for the next portion of the video. Also, the multi-continental value of 64 through 224 petatons of force we got for Berserker Asta is very consistent with some of his other feats, as while in this form he should obviously be relative to every member of the Dark Triad, being able to combat Dante, who is more than likely the strongest member of the Triad, seeing as how he's confirmed to have the strongest devil, and how he can use the largest percentage of his devil's power. Going off of this, we can somewhat conclude that Asta should be relative to Vonica, as obviously she's a member of the Dark Triad. Vonica being someone who could vaporize a large portion of the Heart Kingdom just by blowing up some of her fodder henchmen via detonating her magic which dealt within them. And this feat has actually been calculated requiring anywhere from 446 petatons of force all the way up to 1.1 exatons of force, which is extremely high in multi-continental. It's actually closer to moon level than it is baseline multi-continental. And even if you don't think Asta is relative to the Triad, and that him injuring Dante was just a fluke or some shit like that, keep in mind that this multi-continental attack, which was casually shot out by Vonica, was tanked by a fatigued, injured Noel, who Asta definitely would be relative to, if not stronger than. In fact, he's definitely stronger than her, as she was fatigued at the time of tanking this attack. So, yeah, and even Mimosa and Leopold tanked this shit. So obviously Asta should be relative to this attack. Also keep in mind that this is a low ball, as stated previously. This calc nor this multi-continental value accounts for the power Asta receives from his true anti-magic form, nor the time skip. And I've even been told that Berserker Asta is actually closer to a 50 times amp than it is a 12 times amps. So it's possible that Asta at his strongest is closer to moon level than he is continental. Anyway, this section is dragged on long enough. Just know Asta is multi-continental. His multiplier supported, the feat supported, all that other shit. Yeah, let's just move on into speed. Alright, so speed in Black Clover is extremely straightforward and easy to scale, as the speed of attacks, the composition of attacks, and the speed of characters in general is directly given within the series. For instance, Yami directly states both Raya and Patri, users of light magic, are capable of light speed movement. Light magic is also directly referred to as light on multiple occasions, and has been shown to work similarly to actual light, being able to reflect off mirrors and other light reflective surfaces such as Nozelle's Mercury. There are other instances of light magic working similarly to its real-world counterpart, such as Patri's light magic being the only form of magic which can oppose Julius's time magic, obviously alluding to the fact that light and objects moving at light speed have significant effect on time via time dilation. And Sally states all magic, not just light magic, works similarly to their real-world counterparts. So not only is light magic, among other things, stated light speed, but it's directly stated and shown to work similarly to light. Not to mention most characters just drop the comparison between light magic and light and just straight up refer to the two as one and the same. So If light magic can have a soul value applied to its movement speed, of course instances of characters blocking and reflecting dozens of these light speed light magic attacks, such as Merleona and Asta blocking Raya's dozens of light swords of conviction, can of course have an MFTL and FTL plus value applied to its speed. In fact, that Merleona feat I just talked about has actually been calculated requiring a speed 99 through 322 times faster than the speed of light. Lowballing, and this value would more so apply to a base Asta, as this was the form he was utilizing while combating Raya. So assuming Asta's speed is amped to a similar degree as his AP when utilizing his different forms, such as his anti-magic form and his Black Divider, which it most likely is, since the increased flow of anti-magic throughout his body has been shown to amp his speed, such as him being able to speed blitz Fire Spirit Ampladros, who previously speed blitzed him to the point where he couldn't even react, despite, knowing the attack was coming via sensing it with Ki and other shit like that. So, assuming it amps his speed to a similar degree as his AP, then obviously an MFTL plus value could be applied to his speed at this point. This MFTL plus value being over 170,000 times faster than the speed of light. And of course, a lot of people think this is a highball, as whether or not it does amp his speed to the exact same degree as it amps his AP is kind of up in the air. But I personally think it still works. And even if we say base Asta is only as fast as the speed of light, then we would still get an MFTL plus value for speed being over 2,100 times faster than the speed of light. And as stated before, that would be a massive lowball, as we know while in base, he's 322 times faster than the speed of light, lowballing based on his feats with Merleona back during the Elf Invasion arc, when he blocked dozens of Raya's light speed light magic attacks. So Black Clover speed is extremely easy to scale, and Asta at his utmost would range from the MFTL through MFTL plus ranges of speed, and at like the very least, as like while he's in base, would easily be light speed all the way up to FTL plus or MFTL. So yeah, moving forward. Alright, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, the format for this video was a little bit different from past videos. Obviously, I had to crop down the size of my background clip. So if it was a little bit ugly to look at, my apologies. I'll make that shit look a little bit better in future videos. So please don't unsubscribe from my shit, please. I have a Natsu video planned for next week. I have a Dragon Ball God of High School Journey to the West sort of fusion script planned. And after that, I want to talk about a Naruto topic, I guess. I'm trying to get all my shits planned out this week, but, hopefully this shit goes smoothly and I can, post more consistently. I was going to talk about the fucking Asta planetary universal meta in this fucking video, but I realized I could probably make a whole other 10-minute video out of just that one topic. So I won't be doing that now, but hopefully I can make that into a video soon enough. Maybe, I don't fucking know. Yeah, let's just cue the intro and outro actually and get the fuck out of here.
We spent his past and gone away.